Hi everybody, it's Brian again. Going to go over what I picked up this past few weeks. I'll start with an issue. I get these issues of Retro Gamer every month by Barnes & Noble. I think I showed these before, but this is an import magazine from the UK. Since Nintendo Power is no longer around, I picked this up, and it's a very good magazine. Goes over all retro games, obviously, from a lot of old PC games, like from the ZX Spectrum or ZX Spectrum. I always say Z, but it's ZX Spectrum, and a lot of those older computer systems that the UK was big into in the 80s. But it also goes over NES, SNES, and all those systems that us in America grew up with. So it's almost like having a published magazine over here because they cover a lot of popular US stuff too. Moving on, we'll go to the Super Nintendo. I picked up a game I've been looking for a while. Maui Mallard and Cold Shadow. This stars Donald Duck. It's a platform game, and I played a little bit of it, and it's really fun. Donald is like a detective, I believe, and you go around collecting treasure and shooting. You have like these guns, and you shoot, and it's a good platform game. Picked up for cheap Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Not a very good game, but for cheap, it's fun. I like to play some bad games sometimes, and LJN, every time you see LJN, you know it's going to be, well, more times than not, it's not going to be too good. Also picked up, and I remember liking this game as a kid, Dragon's Lair on the Super Nintendo. The graphics are really good. It's a good platform game. It kind of delayed controls, but it's fun. It's really charming, and the thing about it is you can go through the levels and you'll kind of reverse. If you go the wrong exit, you'll like loop around to where you started at. So there's multiple paths. I have never beat it. I played it for about 15 minutes or so before work one day, and brought back some memories. Keeping with Nintendo, I picked up a host of NES games. Kabuki Quantum Fighter. This is made by HAL Labs, the people who did Kirby. Interesting side-scroller like a lot of NES games. You attack with your hair, and you also shoot these chips. Limited number of chips that you have. I played just the first level, beat the first boss. Interesting game, though. And I remember hearing about it and seeing it in a Nintendo Power write-up. It was the issue of Nintendo Power with... oh god, I forgot who was on the front, but I remember seeing it, and it was a very quirky game, but never played it. So 20-some years later, I finally played it. Game I never had, even though I don't like it. It was cheap enough that I said when I should pick it up when it's cheap enough, and that's Metal Gear, made by Konami's other company, Ultra. Basically, it is Konami. And I don't like the game at all, but that's because I can never get far. But there's always things about games, even when they're bad games, you can find some enjoyment out of. I find some enjoyment out of some part of it, and I will give this another shot. Even though as a kid, I think I rented it like once, and I didn't really care for it, but maybe that's because I never gave it a good shot. Oh, and then, as you probably heard from the Angry Video Game Nerd, looks just like Kyle Reese from the first Terminator. Looks like they modeled it after him. Also an early Capcom game called Section Z, a shoot-'em-up. And I played this a little bit, about the first level. It's hot, and that's what I really stink at shoot-'em-up games, side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups and space shooters. But it was real cheap, $2.50, and I love the early Capcom games with the grid in the background. The first Mega Man was one like that, and they had a lot of cool. I love the artwork on these games. For $2.50 alone, it's worth it just for the artwork, because I'll never probably ever beat it. But it's a cool kind of game. Basically, the A button will shoot left, or I'm sorry, the B button will shoot left, and the A button will shoot right. For $1, I picked up a black box game in the sports series, Slalom. It's a downhill skiing game where you race against competitors, try to beat the time. Surprisingly fun. I beat just the first level. Never played this as a kid. It's fun. I don't know how far I'll get with it, but it was only $1. But surprisingly, for an early Nintendo game, the graphics are very, very, very good. And yeah, it's a black box game, so I'm slowly collecting all the black box games. I don't know how many there are, maybe 30 some, but. And a game I've been wanting to get for a while. I finally found it for $5. And excuse me. And that's Wampum by Jellicoe. And this is in Japan it was named something else, but in America they palette swapped it to an Indian. And it was a later Nintendo release, I think 1991, I'm not sure. But I've always wanted to try it, and it's you start out with a little introductory stage, and after that you come off of the introductory stage, you're on a mountain in the center, and you can pick, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 stages around you like Mega Man. You can pick which one you want to go to first. Sacred Woods, there's an ice level, fire level, different levels like that. I beat the Sacred Woods level, and you can basically use your spear to thrust up or down, like Zelda 2, how you can do a downward stab and an upward stab. And you can extend your spear with a power-up. And you also get little containers, so if your life depletes, I believe it heals you full again. Because I kept almost dying, and I kept seeing my life go up. And I think it looks like little milk things that you get, and then acts like a reserve tank in Super Metroid. So it's pretty fun. For the Game Boy Color, I picked up a game. I already have the first issue of this game for the Game Boy, but they also re-released in 1992, 90-something, when the Game Boy Color was out, a DX version of it. And it's Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. And basically what this is it's basically the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, but it's in color, and they added an extra color dungeon to take advantage of the color aspect of the Game Boy Color. And there was about 3 DX games that came out for the Game Boy Color, and they were reissues of past Game Boy games in color. I think Wario Land 2 was one, this one, and Super Mario Brothers Deluxe was one. There's also a Metroid 2 DX version in production, but it did not get released. Surprisingly, I've never beaten Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I haven't even played it past the beginning. So I've been wanting to try this out, and I figured I'd get the DX version. It's cheap. I think I got it for $9, which isn't too cheap, but considering, I mean, I'll pay $9 for this game. So, and it came with one of these great cases. Moving on, I got some 32X games. The 32X didn't have a huge library, and now I have about a handful of games for it. I picked up Cosmic Carnage, and this is a fighting game, one-on-one fighting game where you play as alien, like monsters, and you can add power-ups, armor to yourself to improve your fighting. Really good graphics. Mark from Classic Game Room really loves this game because it's so cheesy. I've never played it, but just on his recommend, I've never heard of it, but after watching Classic Game Room for a while, he always brings this up. And I saw it, so I picked it up, and it was only $2.50. Another game I picked up is Knuckles Chaotix, and I never played this game before. And basically, I played like the first level, and you're tied to somebody else with this rubber band-like rings. And if you go too far, the other person you're tied to will sling, like a rubber band. Like basically, you go too far, it'll swing back. Interesting game. You can and if you hit the A button, I think the other person will zoom into the screen, coming at you. I haven't really played it enough to get used to the mechanic, but it seems like it could be an interesting game. And the graphics are really good on this too. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Moving on, for the Genesis, I got for $1 Phantom 2040. And this, I played about 5 minutes of this, and based on the comic book. And there was also a movie starring Billy Zane, which I've never seen. And it's basically good graphics. Haven't played a lot of it, so I don't know too much about it. And also, for the N64. I've been looking for this game for a while because I remember my friend had it, and that's Duke Nukem 64. And this is basically Duke Nukem 3D on the N64, like Doom 64. I don't know how much is redone or new, if it's total reinvention of Duke Nukem 3D like Doom 64 was, or if it's just a port with updated graphics. But I remember playing this, and it's fun. I mean, it's Duke Nukem. Also, for the Sega Dreamcast, I haven't picked up Sega Dreamcast games in a while. But here's a hint, this is a rhythm-based game. And this is Space Channel 5, and this was $2.50. I've been looking for it forever. I've never played this game. All I know is it's a rhythm game, and the main character's name is Ooh La La. And there's actually a sequel to this game, which I've never seen. And I haven't played this yet. I have no idea what to I have no idea what it's like, so looking forward to that. Also, for the Xbox, original Xbox, I picked up and I started playing Castlevania Curse of Darkness. And for those who don't know, I was reading up on this game. It is a sequel to Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse on the Nintendo. After Trevor Belmont defeats Dracula, and he's dead, this takes place after that. Trevor Belmont is in the game, from what I understand, because he's in the game manual. You play as a guy named Hector, who revolts against Dracula and all his minions after his loved one dies, gets killed by them. You have these like monsters called IDs, demon IDs, that you can summon and level up and fight with you. And so far I played just about a half an hour of it, and it looks good, music's awesome, and it's very fun. So I'm looking forward to playing that some more. And it's a Castlevania game, and I want to get this one, and then I want to also get a copy of Lament of Innocence, because I had that, and I don't know what happened to it. I think I lent it out, and I never got it back. But for the Sega Saturn, I picked up a RPG made by Sega in the Shining series. That's Shining the Holy Ark. And this is complete, and I don't have a lot of good Sega Saturn games that I consider good. I think my best one is X-Men Children of the Atom. But this is an actually legitimate RPG. And if I ever actually get around to playing it, because I procrastinate on RPGs like crazy, I still have Xenosaga and a whole mess of other RPGs to play. Yeah, I mean, I have enough RPGs to last me for a year, years probably. And also, I pick up some Game Boy Advance games for my mom every once in a while. And I picked up Perfection, Connect 4, and Trouble. She likes the board games and the puzzle games, so I picked this up. And the good thing about Game Boy Advance is you can find these real cheap. And they're a lot of fun, and they're simple to play, and they're just fun. So that's everything I got. I'm playing through Zelda 2 right now, on the 6th dungeon. I leveled up my attack, my magic, and everything to level 8. And this is the first time I've ever played through Zelda 2. And so far, I really like it. I'm also playing Castlevania Curse of Darkness, Castlevania Bloodlines still, and still Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, and just on and off, lots of games. I'm actually trying to finish more games this year, so hopefully that works out better. So I'll talk to you guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.